Well, hello everyone. This is Keith Jowers of Dads for Life, and this is another Dad Connection podcast from this week, because it's a new week, right? So last week we talked about communicating with our kids and how important that was. And so, because no matter who you're communicating with, you've got to get your point across. But sometimes today when people communicate, obviously they don't know how to listen to the other person, do they? They want to make sure that they argue with the other person. But that's not what that podcast was about. It was basically talking about how we can communicate better with our kids. So if you want to listen to that, just check our website out at dadsforlife.com, and you can find that as well as the other Dad Connection podcasts that we've been doing for a while now. But today we're going to talk about time is short. Psalms 90:12, the psalmist actually reminds us that our days are numbered. No matter how old we are or how young we are, our days are numbered. In fact, the Bible also talks about the number of hairs on your head. You know, that God knows those. Well, it's easier for him to count me, apparently. But in the Psalm 90, verse 12, the psalmist reminds us about how short life really is. And he says, teach us wisely all the time that we have. Teach us to use our time wisely that we have. You ever had one of those days where you just kind of look back and wonder where that day went? Maybe you didn't do as much. Maybe you stayed, just kind of lazy in your chair and binge watching something. And you look back and say, where did that day go? Well, we wasted it. And I think each day that we have, we need to be doing whatever we can to use it wisely, because it gets away from us. It slips by very quickly. So we should all live each day as if it were our last. And I'll talk about that and how personal that is to me in just a moment. So if we actually did this, though, I think we all, my friends, would live differently. Don't you? So let's think about each day. What if we thought about each day a little bit more positively? What if we decided that each day that we get up, that we're going to, whatever we're doing, whatever our schedule is, it's going to be positive. Somebody cuts you off in traffic going to work or going to an event or something, you just let it go. You don't get involved and engaged with that person. You think more positively and let them have that lane. Forgive quicker. I think if we forgive quicker each day, that if somebody offends us and we forgive them immediately, it doesn't carry on for a long time. I know a dad that, being we are Dads for Life, we help a lot of single dads. And I know a dad from years ago who his wife divorced him against his will. And about 2 years later, she asked him to forgive her. And he said, well, I forgave you 2 weeks after it happened because I couldn't carry that on anymore and let it affect the way that I fathered our daughter. So if you forgive quicker when somebody hurts you, then maybe that would make your day a little bit easier. And I know it would, at least in your mind, because you're not carrying that weight around. You ever been around somebody just, they're full of unforgiveness? It's not a fun thing to do. I mean, I've been around people that have done that, and it's very, you can see the weight on them, right? It's very hard on them. But I have actually experienced having to forgive people that will take advantage of a situation of my wife and I, and sometimes when we try to help somebody and then you realize that they're trying to get a little bit more out of it, you can't hold that on. You just can't hold it within. You have to let it go. You have to release that and forgive them and move on and learn a lesson from it, right? I think also, we have to step out of our comfort zone sometimes and do that thing that God's been calling us to do, whatever it is. I mean, I remember my first video that I did with Dads for Life, and it's been years ago. Actually, we're in our 19th year now going into, so it's been a long time ago. But when I did it that first time, I was like, oh my goodness, I got to get it just right and just perfect. Well, if I make a mistake now, I just keep rolling with the punches, like coughing and not having any water nearby. So please bear with me. You might want to make your life a little easier and and realize that this could be your last day, and you have that dream inside of you, and that you want to start a new career. You want to reach out and start something new. And with you do that, and with God on your side, then it can certainly lead you into an area that you may not realize how successful you can be in until you take that step of faith. You might want to spend more time with loved ones. That's a big one, because life being short as it is, when you don't have that loved one around anymore, it can really be very painful. If you remember last week, I dedicated the podcast to our nephew, Bill. And today Bill is no longer on earth with us. It rapidly took over after that podcast in the next few days, and hospice called in, and he went pretty quickly, actually. But Bill had a wonderful attitude on life. He said, "I'm healed either way" type attitude. And when you do that, you know that you're peaceful inside. When you can do that, and inside that all is well. As the hymn says, all is well within. And sure enough, he definitely knew that all was well. And his family knew it was all was well, because he took them to the side. He actually talked to all of them and told them how peaceful that he was on the inside. And he went in his sleep, basically, and just transitioned. So he spent all that extra time that he had, or at the end of his life, he spent those hours with nothing more than just spending it with family and loved ones and people that he cared about and that cared about him. And my wife and I, being one of them, being that he was her nephew, we just really loved that man and saw all the work that he did in helping others' lives. And so he spent that time. He knew his time was short. He knew inside his time was short after consulting with the doctors, and he was at peace at it. So he just went ahead and just spent all that time loving on people and encouraging people, whether they called or visited, or he just always was thinking about somebody else. And when you can do that at the end of your life, think about somebody else and their issues or how you can help them, then you're at peace. I think knowing that time is short, if we make time for ourselves sometimes and we don't stress ourselves out all the time, we can be more at peace with that, because you have to rest. You have to take time for yourself. And if we just give and give and give ourselves out to somebody else, or spend 80, 90 hours at work all the time, then you're not really taking time for yourselves and not really being able to relax a little bit. So you want to make sure that you're doing that, because time is short. You never know what tomorrow will hold. So if you have time to take vacation, maybe with your family, and just go out and relax some. My wife and I did that recently, and it was very relaxing. It takes me 2 or 3 days to get relaxed, but once you do that, then that it's good for your soul. I think if you just allow yourselves to have fun with your kids and your family, you just have fun sometimes. I think it'll be a great way to just relieve a lot of stress and enjoy the time that we have here on earth. I think if you live with joy in your heart and not let as much stress get on you. I mean, the world is stressful, isn't it? Each and every day you turn on the news. Of course, I don't watch the regular news because how negative it is, but you try to keep up with the things that are going on if you're really into that the issues that affect our country and our world and our families. When you think about that, and if you get stressed about it all the time, you can't really impact the inflation because it's out of control right now. But you can do it by voting, soon. But when you think about all that, and it all gets on you, and it can really bog you down. So you just have to understand that being, I guess, with your the joy inside. I'm sorry, I had a blank on my screen. It kind of threw me off there for a minute. When you have joy inside, that you can live with just about anything that comes your way, right? So you want to live happily and find that joy that's going to keep you on the road of happiness, basically. Because I mean, life can get you down pretty heavy. You know, there's a lot of dads I've worked with that face divorce, and moms as well. We've had single moms email us and talk to us about having to pull both roles and how we can help them. But when you're facing a divorce, or your illness, or you're having financial stress, or whatever it is, or you have a loss of loved ones, like our family experienced this past, well, actually yesterday morning, then when all that hits you, it can be very disheartening sometimes. So you have to find within and talk with others about the strength that you have to get going a little bit on the road again, basically, because you got to be strong for somebody else. So there might be someone else that doesn't have the strength you have within, that you're going to be able to encourage them, especially with our children. If our children see so much negative all the time at school, or on television, or in video games, or whatever, please monitor all that. And they don't have somebody to talk it out with. See, I always say that home should be the safest place for a child to be. They should be able to get their information there, the truthful information. They should not hear all the stress that they hear out in the world or at school. They shouldn't hear that at home. So you want that home to be the safest place for your children. And when you do that, it makes them feel like they can share more with you. Try to have at least once a week dinner around the table with no phones on here, and just sit and talk and find out what's going on with them. Because the more we communicate, as we talked about last week, then the better the family unit is going to be when we open up. Time is precious, my friends. And we need to use the time that we have each day, whatever our schedules are, whatever our mission in life is, wherever God has you on the path. It is so important to realize that those minutes are precious. And they're especially precious to your children. You know, when dads or parents in general, they say, you know, we're going to go somewhere this weekend, somewhere they want to go to, you know, really, whether it's a theme park or wherever, or you're going to take them fishing, or you're going to take them hunting, whatever the case is, and then something comes up that's more important that you want to do, and you say, okay, I'm sorry, I can't do that this week, kind of lets them down. So when you try to promise your kids something, make sure, because time is precious, that you keep that promise. And it'll be very important to the both of you, trust me, over time. So when you find yourself in a pattern of things that just don't seem to be going right, I want you to think about how to change that pattern, how to get on a new direction and a new path that's going to help you with your children. You know, I remember as a school resource officer years ago, I felt like I had the best job in the world. I felt like I had the best school in the world. I know I had some of the best students in the world, but I could tell you that I tried to involve myself in things they wanted done, and be involved with what they wanted to do, because they needed a leader to do it. I would do that. And of course it kind of saw the policeman on a different light, and then of course I was able to communicate with them a little bit better. And so I look for those opportunities. So when you are working with your children and trying to raise them up, and look for the opportunities to be involved in something. If you know, they want to go to a movie or something, maybe just join them on with that. And most of the movies you need to join them on. So if they want to go shopping somewhere, maybe you will go shopping with them. I know that's a stretch, but you know, whatever they want to do, just try to maybe work your way into doing that with them. And it helps open up the communication gap. It truly does. Or helps bring that gap together, I should say. So So our truth for today in another scripture is Psalms 51:12. It says, "Restore to me the joy of your salvation and uphold me with a willing spirit." Because you have to have a willing spirit to be able to change. You have to be able to want to change. And trust me, at my age, sometimes it's hard to change. But you do that when you know that you can, be a blessing to somebody else. You change so you can help somebody else, because the world is tough enough as it is. And the Bible's where you can find the real answers. And, I want you to think about this, dads. Let me talk to the dads a minute. If you want to be a better father, you need to learn from the father. Because once you do that and you apply those principles to you being a father yourself, then things are going to be a little bit better in the relationship with your kids. I guarantee it. So Dads for Life is the 19th year. It's our nonprofit organization. You can go to our website, dadsforlife.com, find out a little bit more about what we're doing. We are tapping into doing some filming. We're going to be filming some dad commercials in the first of the year, and through our 425 Productions unit of our ministry. So if you want to support that, help that, and we're going to bring dad PSAs to the television, hopefully. But we're going to just try to encourage dads through video and film this coming year. So we're excited about that. So you can find out more about us at dadsforlife.com. And remember, go out and encourage, enhance, and enrich the life of someone today or tomorrow. But make sure you start with your children, because they truly do need it the most. Till next time, it's Keith Jowers saying, may God bless you. Bye-bye.